Elliott, who's already torched the 2:05 mark to take the pole. It's the fastest and the finest in a blaze of speed here at Talladega.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
That's the command that sends the engines roaring into life and causes the pulses to quicken as the fastest field in NASCAR stock car racing history is ready to run in the Alabama 500 at Talladega. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and the thoughts of this giant record crowd here and all of the crews, all of the drivers are focused on just one man, Bill Elliott. He has been dominant this year on the super speedways. He won at Daytona, at Darlington, and here at Talladega. He qualified at 209.3 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour faster than last year's track record, and 4 miles an hour faster than the all-time NASCAR qualifying record. He is definitely the man to beat.
He routinely travels over 200 miles an hour. 3 other cars in this starting field also eclipsed last year's track record. But is Elliott comfortable at 200?
Well, I don't know if you ever get used to running this fast or not. You know, you use up more and more racetrack each time you go back. The thing about it is, if something does happen, you just don't spin out and slide down in the grass. And I think that's one thing that concerns all of us as drivers. Still, yet you got to do what you got to do.
Bill Elliott, the king of the Speedway. Now, Bobby Unser, how are the rest of them going to beat him?
Well, number one, Paul, you have to take the mechanical difficulties that may happen out of it if we're going to talk about that. I'm saying that Cale Yarborough is going to have to run Elliott just as hard as he can run him. And I mean really hard, because Elliott has a very definite advantage. But if he runs him hard enough, he may be able to break him. If he doesn't run him hard enough, Elliott's going to be able to ease off and maybe have some assurance that his car will last a little bit longer.
No question about it. It's going to be one whale of a day. Now, there's even more to this story as we go to the pits and Gary Gerald.
Well, Paul, if there's ever been a situation where all eyes at a racetrack are focused on one man, that man has to be Bill Elliott today here at Talladega. Record-shattering qualifying speed, 3 super speedway victories already this year, the opportunity of a $100,000 bonus if he wins this race today. They've been so dominant in the victories at Daytona, Darlington, Atlanta, and in practice here at Talladega. We've had several top-name drivers flat out tell us it's a race for second place unless Bill Elliott breaks. Well, we're about to find out whether or not the rules change that was implemented for this race, designed primarily to slow down Bill Elliott and his Thunderbird, is going to have any impact. There are 39 other teams that are anxious to find that out as well. Bruce Jenner's in the pits of one of those teams right now.
Thank you, Gary. Elliott has set a very tough pace, but there's 39 other teams, and I feel that energy down here. I know they're all ready to meet the challenge, including the team right behind me, Terry Labonte, defending Grand National champion and the fastest GM qualifier. And this team right now is ready to go racing, right, guys? They're going to meet that challenge. Let's meet the rest of the field with foremost racing announcer Paul Page. Paul.
All right, Bruce, the field is on the pace lap now. There is Elliott on the inside, Yarborough on the outside, and here is the view from Richard Petty's car as they head into that 33-degree banking. The front row, Yarborough and Elliott.
Cale Yarborough is a 2-time winner and the defending champion.
On the second row, Kyle Petty and Terry Labonte.
Kyle Petty still looking for his first Grand National win.
The third row, Joe Ruttman and Darrell Waltrip.
Darrell Waltrip, 4-time winner right here at Talladega, but no win so far this year.
The fourth row, David Pearson, Bobby Hillin Jr.
Bobby Hillin, youngest driver ever to go 200 miles an hour.
And the fifth row, Sterling Marlin and Richard Petty.
Richard Petty, 200 stock car wins and 2 here at Talladega.
Now as we take a look at the rest of the field, notable by their position back in the field, Neil Bonnet, he's had 2 wins this season. So has Dale Earnhardt, plus 2 victories here at Talladega. And back in the 16th row, Buddy Baker with 4 wins here at Talladega. Now the pace car leads this 40-car field down toward the tri-oval. Elliott sits on the pole. The defending Talladega champion, Cale Yarborough, on the outside as the pace car turns down on the pit road. John Oates of Hall & Oates, the honorary starter with a green flag in his hand. They are perfectly aligned. Into the tri-oval, the green flag is out, and the Alabama 500 is on. Elliott to the inside, Yarborough high. The first 6 cars maintain pace lap position into the second turn now. Acceleration picks up, the pace quickens as they come to the backstretch. Terry Labonte, the first to make a move, drops low. Kyle Petty comes in behind Yarborough. That's a sandwich with Elliott. Elliott in the middle. It's Labonte on the inside. Darrell Waltrip closes in behind Labonte. It's Yarborough. Then Kyle Petty as they head for turn 3. Yarborough leading into turn 3. A surprise already as it's Yarborough, Kyle Petty, and then Elliott. Here is the view from Richard Petty's car.
Look at that number 9 car, Billy Elliott's really scooting around. Look at how rough that track is. That really shows you what Talladega's like.
Bill Elliott dropping back then on the first lap as we come to the conclusion of lap number 1. It is Cale Yarborough that will lead it, and Kyle Petty is in second place, followed by Darrell Waltrip. The battle of the beers now as Elliott begins to pull up on the Waltrip machine, then drops back just a bit. And look at Yarborough begin to pull away with Kyle Petty sitting right in the draft. Now Waltrip closes down. Elliott drops in the draft behind Waltrip. And Elliott, can he make a move on this backstretch? He does. He comes to the inside, then drops back in. It is still Yarborough leading Petty.
Well, they're having a good race, but I think right now, Paul, they're just feeling each other out an awful lot, and especially Elliott. I think maybe he's trying to get his tires warmed up before he makes a big move.
16 cars in the first trap as Yarborough brings them to the line again, followed by Kyle Petty and the second lap at better than 200 miles an hour. Now Elliott drops inside Waltrip. He makes his bid. He can really handle down on the low side of this track as he comes around Waltrip.
Well, I honestly believe that he has more horsepower, and I also think that he has a better handling chassis. Now, if he's able to pass those guys down low, when you know that he's tightening the car up and probably binding it, causing a little bit less speed, or it takes more horsepower to get the same job done. We're going to find out whether he's got what everybody says he has.
No question about one fact, though. That Thunderbird that Elliott has is one magnificent machine. Currently running in third place. Yarborough leads. Kyle Petty is second.
3 Thunderbirds right in a row. Doesn't that make you think maybe they're pretty good today, Paul?
Now Kyle Petty tries the challenge in his bird as he comes inside Yarborough. And it's Petty with his nose just ahead. Elliott comes in the middle. He can run anywhere on the course he wants. The fight is for the lead, and Kyle Petty is in it now.
Now that's a good race. Those guys are really going at it, tooth and toenail. But I keep watching that Elliott. He's running all over that track, just feeling those guys out. Look at him now come underneath. Look at that. Now there's all that power we were looking for.
Look at this as Bill Elliott comes down on the inside. He comes past the leaders and then begins to just flat disappear.
Now that has got to be horsepower and handling. He did it in the straightaway and the turn, Paul.
So Bill Elliott out in front, and Dale Earnhardt took advantage of his move and came up into second place. A record pace set at the start here. We'll be right back. Back at Talladega, Bill Elliott in a Ford leads Dale Earnhardt in a Chevrolet. This has been the battle since the beginning of the season. Elliott's Thunderbird has been especially dominant over the General Motors products. So NASCAR, trying to equal out the competition, raised the roof line of the Thunderbirds, the Ford products, a half-inch. At the same time, they lowered the General Motors products. What do the other competitors think of these rule changes?
You know, why change the rules on account of one man? I don't agree with that. You know, when Muhammad Ali was fighting, he had everybody covered, and they didn't make him fight with one hand behind his back. They just let him do his thing, and I think that's what should be done here. I'm not in favor of any rule changes whatsoever.
How can everybody in here that's been in racing for 30 years, the Woods brothers, the Pettys, the Junior Johnsons, and everybody in this garage area, Waddell Wilson, how can they be that far behind and somebody else be that superior? That's the only thing that I wonder about.
You know, NASCAR has got they got a job to do. You know, they've got to keep the field as equal as possible. And, you know, whereas my job is to make my race car as competitive as possible. And, you know, anytime, you know, we have a rules change or whatever, you know, I've just got to go home and adapt to that change and, you know, try to make sure that my car is still as competitive as it was.
Some very definite opinions from the good old boys. Now the leader is into the pits. Here's Gary Gerald.
Bill Elliott in for his first stop of the afternoon. The windshield being struck from this side. 5 men, 6 men out over the wall if you include the man with the catch can for the gas tank. 11 gallons of fuel is in quickly. The second 11 for a total of 22. It's right side rubber change and appears to be routine all the way for Bill Elliott.
good, quick, and smooth stop as the number 9 machine of Bill Elliott heads back into the competition. Roaring off pit road, there's Cale Yarborough. He made a stop as well. These stops coming under the green flag. We've set a record pace to this point. Now, as they come back to the competition, down at the other end of the pit road, a man with some serious trouble. There is Harry Gant in the Bandit, and it looks like the day is over. Back behind the wall and into the garage area.
Now, here we have a picture in our 5th place car, Richard Petty, and this will give you an idea what the banks look like at over 200 miles an hour here at Talladega, Paul.
33-degree banking, the steepest banking of any super speedway anywhere in the world on this, the world's fastest racetrack. Now Cale Yarborough has moved up to 2nd place and closes in behind Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt the leader, but Yarborough on the challenge. That's Kyle Petty in 3rd place and Bill Elliott running in 4th. There's the 3rd and 4th place cars now as they come on to the backstretch. But it's Cale Yarborough, the man to watch at the moment. He's been very tough in the early going, and there he goes around Earnhardt, and Cale Yarborough is back in the lead. At the same time, Bill Elliott comes around Kyle Petty and moves into 3rd place. So we've had our first set of stops on this record-setting pace under the green flag, and the order is about the same at the front of the field. It's Yarborough, followed by Earnhardt, then Elliott, then Kyle Petty. Here's the view from Richard's car.
This is Richard Petty going around the track, getting up near the wall. This gives you an idea how close they get to the wall. The car just ahead of Richard right now is his son, Kyle Petty. Now, I wonder what Richard is thinking when he sees that car and he thinks he's going to want to pass it. Let's see what happens, Paul.
Richard, of course, says he just flat ignores it. He doesn't even pretend to know who's in that car. He's got to know that it's Kyle, and he's going to dust Kyle right off as he comes around and falls in pursuit, pushing himself into 4th place. Richard Petty now up to 4th. The leader is still Yarborough. Right in front of Petty, there's that Coors machine of Bill Elliott. And look, he just moves back and forth anywhere he wants to on the circuit.
Well, he has no problem, and I think what we've seen so far since the beginning of the race indicates that he not only has a good engine and a lot of power, but he can run any place on the track he wants to, high, low, in the draft or out of a draft, and still go fast.
There's the view from Petty's car. That's Elliott right in front. He continues to be a question mark in this race. Petty pulls up. He's definitely feeling the effect of the draft right here. That area of a vacuum that is behind these Grand National stock cars as they cut through the air. And that's what Petty's doing. He pulls alongside Elliott, drops in behind Earnhardt, and Petty is now in 3rd place.
If you'll notice, Richard Petty always seems to be trying for the high side. And as you watch the camera, his camera car, he was absolutely working towards the high side of the racetrack. If he can, he'll always pass on the high side. Kind of watch that the rest of the race here.
He takes it low with Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt comes high alongside Cale Yarborough, and now the number 3 car of Earnhardt pushes into the lead. There's Richard Petty again as he pushes Yarborough down to the low side and closes into 2nd place.
Did you watch how the car of Dale Earnhardt is just pitching around there? That's all caused by a little bit of roughness in the track and a whole bunch of air going by.
Change up with the leaders once again. That is Elliott down low as he pushes alongside Yarborough, and Elliott now moves into 3rd. He's beginning to show some of that power that we spoke of earlier. It is Earnhardt, followed by Petty, and now Elliott in 3rd place.
Remember what we said about Elliott, the low groove is what we call the horsepower groove. Paul, there's some smoke.
Smoke at the back of Elliott's car. Could that be the engine?
Oh, it sure looks like an engine to me. That looks like a sad thing. That's a terrible thing to happen to Elliott.
Well, it's the crowd's favorite, the man from Dawsonville. They apparently have tweaked that engine just a little too tight. Bobby Allison comes around as Elliott begins to fall backwards. We've got a race now. The leader is Dale Earnhardt, and he's being chased by Richard Petty.
Well, look at that car pitching around in the air. That's a good shot right there. There's Richard going underneath Dale Earnhardt. Looks like he's going to make a good pass.
Richard Petty works Dale Earnhardt to the high side as the Elliott car rolls to the pits and toward Gary Gerald.
Paul, the hood is coming up immediately. Here's a team that hasn't lost an engine in more than 2 years. They're trying to assess the problem right now. One of the crew members scrambling back, diving for a wrench. Ernie Elliott going to work, and it looks grim right now for Bill Elliott.
Now 4 abreast on the backstretch as Kyle Petty comes past Yarborough, his dad, and Dale Earnhardt, and Kyle Petty Petty just screams out into the lead. His dad, Richard, is in second place, just a nose ahead of Earnhardt. But the battle for the lead changes once again as Kyle is now out in front, and it's door handle to door handle. Richard Petty with Earnhardt alongside on the high side. Kyle Petty out in front. That 7-Eleven machine now suddenly showing its power. Bobby Allison is sitting back in fourth place now. A tremendous battle at the front of this field now with the absence of Bill Elliott, who has fallen 2 laps behind. Gary is still there.
Hood coming down now. He's lost nearly 2 full laps. They're buttoning things up. The head of the pack coming toward the tri-oval. They're trying desperately to get Elliott back in the chase, but he has lost nearly 5 miles to the field.
An almost hopeless cause now for Bill Elliott as he heads back into the race. Now let's go to Marv Albert in Tyler, Texas. Gary Gerald, Bobby Unser, and Bruce Jenner. We have been running a record pace here. There have been several pit stops while you were away, and currently it is Cale Yarborough leading Kyle Petty here in the competition. Now remember, Bill Elliott went into the pits with smoke at the back of his car. As you can see, he is now running, and running at a record pace himself. There is no longer oil smoke at the back of the machine. So now, let's go down to the Elliott pits with Gary Gerald. Gary?
Ernie, it looked like an oil line problem. Were you able to snug it back up?
Yeah, we just snugged it back down. It was nothing but a scavenge line. You know, it's not all that critical. It looks a lot worse than it really is. So, you know, we just need to get a break and get caught back up.
So Bill Elliott is working his way back to the front. He is now a little over 1 lap down, and Jim Ellis from the NBC scoring computer has been tracking this run up through the field. It has been a magnificent performance, but Elliott still has a long way to go if he intends to challenge the leaders.
Well, it might be interesting to note that I've been clocking Bill Elliott, and he's been turning laps at 205 miles an hour. Very fast.
Gary Gerald, Richard Petty with an unscheduled stop coming to you.
Richard Petty, who led this race in the early stages, greeted by crew chief Mike Beam, the rest of the team. The hood is up. Petty sitting in the cockpit, and there's a major problem, obviously, for King Richard, and now they've shut down the engine. The engine has been turned off. Petty, the winningest driver in NASCAR history, it appears that his day is done. He won here 2 years ago, number 198, has added 2 victories since, but there'll be no opportunity for number 201 today for Richard Petty.
Richard Petty, the 7-time Daytona 500 champion, is out of the race. Cale Yarborough, number 28, is still out in front. Now get this, as we pass the 250-mile mark, the average speed of the race, 196 miles an hour, almost 20 miles an hour over any NASCAR race record, and Cale Yarborough is running in the lead.
Well, he's doing. Look at that. That's so sad. I think this is one of Richard Petty's better days, and I really thought he had a chance of winning this race today. But he looked awful good, Paul.
Richard Petty looking good and so kind to allow us to carry the onboard camera on his famous number 43 machine. They're one of the saddest views as Richard Petty waves goodbye and heads back to the garage area. As we head back to the race course, Bill Elliott moves up behind Cale Yarborough. Now, Yarborough is actually a little over 2.5 miles ahead, so Elliott is 1 lap down, but he's trying to get around to get on the leader lap.
Well, even though he's gained 1 lap, Paul, he still needs to gain another one, so he desperately needs a yellow right now to catch up.
So Cale Yarborough leads, but Bill Elliott is on the charge. We'll be back. If the race continues at this pace, we are going to see the fastest 500-mile race ever in the Alabama 500 at Talladega. Cale Yarborough leads. Second place is Darrell Waltrip, and Bill Elliott has driven the 2 laps he was behind and now moves on to the backstretch in third place behind Waltrip, but Waltrip is slowing down. The number 11 machine is slowing on the the backstretch.
Boy, that looks kind of sad, Paul. The Chevrolets have been catching heck today, and how Darrell has been a little bit vocal about the Ford Chevrolet thing. Looks like he's got his own problems.
Well, Bill Elliott picks up the advantage as he now drops into second place behind Cale Yarborough, an almost impossible task. Remember, he had an oil line come off the engine. It caused a great deal of smoke. He was black flagged. They repaired that line, but it put him 2 laps back. Now, he is running back at the front of the field in second place. And here is Darrell Waltrip as he heads down on the pit road and directly back to the garage area.
Well, that means he's obviously got a very serious mechanical problem. My guess is he probably broke an engine.
Look at this fight on the race course, though. Cale Yarborough is out in front, and Bill Elliott begins to work him, much to the crowd's appreciation. They are on their feet and watching this battle for the lead. Elliott moves up behind Yarborough and tries him low.
This is what a lot of people are here to see today, Paul. Watch this now. This is what the people, they're all standing. It's really exciting. I personally think that Elliott's going to pass him.
Elliott can work Yarborough down on the low side of the course, and where Elliott places his car not only gives him an aerodynamic advantage, but it can also mess up the aerodynamics at the back of Yarborough's car. But it's not aerodynamics here, it's raw horsepower as Elliott comes around Yarborough, and Bill Elliott is back in front in the Alabama 500.
Right down in that low groove again that takes that horsepower and right down the straightaway. Look at the crowd, look at the crowd. I'll tell you what, that's a beautiful feeling to see something like that.
Well, Bill Elliott fights his way back to the lead. Let's go to his pits.
As they come down the straightaway, you see the reaction of the Elliott crew. Number 9 now in front.
An absolutely amazing feat by Bill Elliott. He was 2 laps down. Cale Yarborough ran at a record pace. We have not had a yellow in this race yet, and yet Bill Elliott has managed to drive up on those 2 laps and pass Cale Yarborough, the leader. Now Yarborough moves back to second, and he is in a desperate try to get back into the lead. As Dale Earnhardt blows an engine, oils down the racetrack. We'll see if they go yellow. The Chevrolet of Earnhardt. We're yellow now, the first time here at Talladega.
And he certainly has nothing to be ashamed about today. He's been very fast and at times been leading the race today. He's been a very good contender. It's very sad to have him out.
So Earnhardt out of the race. The yellow flag is out, and that will bring our leaders into the pits. So let's go down to the pits. And this report from Bruce Jenner.
Cale Yarborough's crew, all-important pit stop. They hop over the wall, changing the outside rubber, just getting fuel on. Normal maintenance for the car.
Here it is now for Bill Elliott. What should be the final time of the day? The crew over the wall. The first yellow of the afternoon. And they'll have enough fuel now to go the distance. He's battled back from a lap and a half down, trying to extend his domination of this sensational year. A $100,000 bonus on the line. And with the luxury of the caution flag, they'll go for fresh tires on both sides now. They've already topped off with fuel to take him the distance.
They're changing all 4 tires on Cale Yarborough. A fast pit stop, actually, for 4 brand new tires.
Bernie Elliott talking to Bill down on the jacks, and Bill Elliott is away.
Elliott and Yarborough both head back to the action. Elliott almost gets into the side of Allison as they come on pit road, and Cale Yarborough wins the race back onto the track. Elliott is in second place. It'll be a sprint to the finish, but for the moment, we're under yellow, so let's go to our studios in New York. Go green in the Alabama 500 at Talladega. It's Cale Yarborough leading Bill Elliott. The green flag is out. The fast cars are on the high side. As Yarborough now leads Bill Elliott into the first turn, it's Kyle Petty sitting in third place. We are still running a record pace here at Talladega. This could possibly be the fastest 500-mile race of any kind in history. It's Yarborough, then Elliott, then Kyle Petty sits back just a bit from the 2 leaders.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be the fastest race when it's over with, but so far it's definitely been the fastest race. And now we have Elliott trying to put his maybe the last move on Cale Yarborough. Let's see if Cale's going to let him go by or not.
Coming through the fourth turn, Elliott sets up just a bit low on Yarborough. Elliott seems to prefer that lower line. Kyle Petty sits back in third place. He is still in the lead draft, but he's just watching this battle for the lead. It also seems that Elliott prefers to let Yarborough lead. Now remember, that has been Yarborough's strategy at this circuit. He normally prefers to be in second place and wants to draft the leader to the line, passing the leader when they get to the line. For the time being, that's exactly what Elliott is allowing Yarborough to do. Lead this race, he maintains second place.
Well, right now, Elliott doesn't need to be leading because he doesn't have to gain back any of those laps that he lost earlier, Paul. And that's kind of important. I think he has a tremendous amount of confidence right now. You can watch him right there. He's running out of the dirty air behind Cale, and he's running nice, clean air. It means his car's going to stick a little bit tighter. But if Kyle moves up and starts to make a move on him, you watch him make a move on Cale.
You are looking at the three cars on the leader lap, Yarborough, Elliott, and Kyle Petty. They are all three Fords, giving testimony to the dominance of the Ford cars here at Talladega. Down in the Elliott pits, they keep a close eye out for that number 9 machine, which currently runs in second place. Now Elliott comes out. Is he going to make a charge on Yarborough? And he does. Look at this. He simply kicks it into passing gear and cruises right on past. And now look at him drive away.
It doesn't even look like a charge, Paul. I don't think I've ever seen stock cars where they've been that much different. Look at the crowd right there now. Elliott is their favorite man today, and maybe has been all year.
The fans are loving it. They're pretty happy about it in Elliott's pit as well. But let's go to Yarborough's pit. This report from Bruce.
Here in the Yarborough pit, let me tell you, the crew behind me has a look of concern. Not only did Bill Elliott pass him, but he also broke the draft. So down here, they're looking at their watches, and I think it's a race now for second place.
A long, hard look from Waddell Wilson as it's Bill Elliott that is now driving away from their car. There's Cale Yarborough in second place, and Kyle Petty is sitting in Yarborough's draft. Remember, though, a car spinning coming off of the fourth turn. The number 6 machine, Eddie Bierschwal, he doesn't touch anything, but he's sitting on 4 flat tires on the grass. The second yellow flag of the day comes out as one of NASCAR's rookies this year. Spins off the course. And here come the leaders back into the pits again. It is Elliott leading Yarborough in.
In the Elliott pit for only the second time today. The caution flag flying. It appears to be routine service. They will change rubber. They were in just a dozen laps ago, and it appears that it'll be a full 4 tire change once again for Bill Elliott. The team taking absolutely no chances after that remarkable run back through traffic virtually on his own, being nearly 5 miles or 2 laps off the pace back into the lead, and he is getting 4 fresh tires.
Yarborough picked up 4 tires as well, as Elliott now is the first down off the jacks, and Elliott will lead Yarborough out once again. We have a sprint to the finish. Now, with the yellow out, let's go back to Tyler, Texas, and Marv Albert. Green flag in what is still a record run for 500 miles. This is a sprint to the finish as the green comes out. It is Bill Elliott sitting right behind Bobby Allison, but Elliott is leading this race. Bobby Allison is 1 lap back behind Elliott. And then right behind Elliott is Kyle Petty, one of the finest runs of his career. He has never won a race. His best finish has been second. And here comes Cale Yarborough down on the inside of the backstretch. Yarborough on the charge, trying desperately to get out in front and win this race. Now it is Elliott coming down alongside Allison. Kyle Petty closes up as well. And Bill Elliott is out and proving that he still has the most powerful machine on the Speedway.
Well, he certainly does, Paul, but I think the race right now is going to be for second place, and it's going to be between Cale and Kyle. Cale got boxed in going down the back straightaway, couldn't get by, tried to get by all of them, and it didn't work. Now we have Kyle out in front. I'm talking about second place now, and Cale, look at that, right behind him, trying to make a pass, and he made the pass. This is where the race is going to be right now.
It's a fight among the Fords at the front. Cale Yarborough has now picked up second place. Kyle Petty is right behind him. Now, can Cale Yarborough do it again on a super speedway? Can he close up behind Elliott? Can he move into Elliott's draft? Can he draft him to the line and pass? That's the normal scenario for Cale Yarborough. Kyle Petty is right there in the fight as he closes in behind behind Yarborough. But look at the distance that Bill Elliott is out in front. An absolutely dominant machine, and has been all year. NASCAR is certainly going to take another look at the rules once again when this race is done, no matter which one of these Fords win.
Well, they're going to do that, but he's already broke the draft, so there's no more race for first place unless he breaks. It's going to be between Cale and Kyle, and I'm going to tell you that Kyle is doing a job like I've never seen the boy do. He is really driving that race car today.
The Bulldog from Timmonsville in second place. This is where he likes to be. Can he chase Elliott down? There's that famous NASCAR draft as Kyle Petty is sticking like glue on the rear bumper of Cale Yarborough. But it's still Elliott out in front. Can Kyle pull the same mechanism on Yarborough? Can he move up, draft Yarborough, and get past him, Bobby Unser?
He can do it. It's just a question of whether he has the experience to know exactly when to do it. Has he been racing long enough to know what to do compared to what Cale knows? Cale is absolutely one of the strongest and smartest drivers in all stock car racing.
Just a few laps from the finish now, you still see that tremendous lead that Bill Elliott has. The next super speedway run is at Charlotte on the Memorial Day weekend. Will they change the rules between now and then? These Fords are almost completely unbeatable. You're looking at the battle for second place. Cale Yarborough, number 28, leads the 7-Eleven machine of Kyle Petty. There's the number 9 car. It's the leader. They started out with Yarborough in the lead, and then Elliott took over. Then Elliott had problem with an oil line. He dropped 2 laps back. He drove his way back into the lead and is now the leader at the Alabama 500 at Talladega as the white flag comes out with just 1 more lap to go for Elliott.
Well, it certainly looks like the contest is over. I've been having a watch on Elliott. He's been running at 205 miles an hour. The last sprint when he doesn't even have to go that fast.
We are watching history being made here in Alabama. This is going to be the fastest 500 miles ever run. We're just over 186 miles an hour. The fastest race to this point was the 1980 Daytona 500 at 177. And Bill Elliott screams now for the checkered flag, again completely dominating this race. He came from behind, and Elliott wins the Alabama 500 at Talladega. Look at that machine pass under the checkered flag. Now, we look back toward the battle for second place. Look at Yarborough and Kyle Petty. They're running side by side, coming down into the tri-oval. Can Petty draft Yarborough? Yarborough is the grand champion at this. They come to the line, and Petty's got him. Petty beats Yarborough to the line. Petty in second place, Yarborough in third.
You know, we said earlier that it looked like it might have been Kyle Petty's best race of his career. I promise you, it certainly looks that way to me.
Well, dejection down in the Yarborough pits. They've seen their car slide from first to second, and then young Kyle Petty moves it back into third place. Look at him come to the line. Petty using the draft as him maybe by 6 inches.
Well, there couldn't have been much more than that, and that was an exciting finish. I really thought that was dandy. The crowd does too. Look at him. They love Elliott. Elliott deserves an awful lot, not just his race car.
At 186.288 miles an hour, Bill Elliott wins the fastest 500 in history. We'll be back to talk with Elliott after this. Bill Elliott wins the Alabama 500 at Talladega. Now let's meet our winner with Gary Gerald. Gary?
Well, the domination continues, but you came down. No yellows all afternoon. In the late stages of the races, it was yellows. Were you at all concerned at that point?
Yes, I was. Of course, you know, I didn't know what Cale had left for me or anything, and I just kept working hard, and the car held together, and it just was a heck of a day.
I don't know if anybody said so yet, but you just got $100,000 today, too, for this drive.
Well, I'll tell you what, Winston's commitment to this type of racing, I'll tell you what, it sure does make me work hard, and I'll tell you what, it's about to kill me.
I'll tell you, congratulations, and from all of us, outstanding job once again, and continued success through the year.
Thank you very much.
Well, they're killing him with cash with an extra $100,000 bonus. The speed of the race, 186.2 miles an hour, 9 miles an hour faster than the fastest race in history, the 1980 Daytona, and 11 miles an hour above the track record. Let's go back, the last lap. The battle for second place, Kyle Petty chasing Cale Yarborough. Here's Kyle's view.
When we come up off 2 on the last lap, he went down to the inside of the corner, inside the backstretch. I knew I was going to have to pass him on the outside, and I was lucky enough to Daddy did it to him at Daytona, I guess, last year and won his 200th race and kept him pinched down on the inside, so I tried to keep him real tight through here, and we were fortunate enough to beat him by about 2 foot at the line.
Well, yeah, he was in the right spot. You know, I knew I should have been where he was, but I couldn't get there, and he beat me back to the start-finish line. You know, I had the foot on the bottom. That's as hard as it go, but I got beat by an inch, I guess, but that's the way it goes here.
And that's the type of action that makes stock car racing what it is today. NASCAR should be very proud, and so should all the drivers.
Bill Elliott wins the fastest 500 in history at Talladega. This is Paul Page for Bobby Unser, Gary Gerald, and Bruce Jenner. So long from Alabama. And now, let's go to Marv Albert and Dr. Ferdy Pacheco in Tyler, Texas for today's championship boxing.